Hello everyone, my name is Raymond and welcome back to the next installment of the Project Feline Devlog series, a series about developing my dream game from beginning to end. I know it has been a little while since the last installment, and since that time there has been a massive amount of growth on the channel. I noticed that there's a lot more people interested in this project. So I want to take a moment to thank each and every one of you that helped contribute to the last episode. I really appreciate all the feedback I got, and it's helped immensely to help me create a better game, which is what this is all about. For the newcomers, welcome to the show. I hope you enjoy your stay. I'm really excited to share with you what I've built, so without further ado, let's get into it. The first topic I'd like to bring up this episode is a whole new mechanic. I noticed from the last episode that the wall running and shooting mechanics didn't quite go together the way I pictured it in my head. Both mechanics seemed to be sort of going in opposite directions from each other. A lot of people didn't feel like it flowed that well, and it sort of felt like shooting was working against wall running and vice versa. So I needed a solution for this. I had a few options though at my disposal. I could either keep developing the wall ride to help it work better with the shooting, or I could keep developing the shooting to work better with the wall ride, or I could develop a whole new mechanic to replace either one of them. Seeing as at the moment we're still quite early in development, I thought now would be a better time than ever to focus my efforts on the development of a new mechanic. I think it would have been viable to keep developing wall ride or shooting, but I didn't want to run the risk of getting too attached to a mechanic too early on. So with that new mechanic direction in mind, I wanted to think of something that would fit. So I took some time to reflect on what satisfying movement mechanics I enjoyed in tandem with shooting from the shooters I've played. I came to find that I really enjoyed the experience and the loop of using the sprint in-game and then holding crouch. And usually what that does in most shooters nowadays is that it gives you this tactical slide. I really enjoy using the tactical slide, and I really love it when I tactically slide, turn a corner, and shoot someone with a shotgun. So I wanted to try and re-deliver that experience in my own game, because the feeling of being like fast and a predator was something I really want to deliver in this project. So with this loop in mind, I took some additional inspiration from Vanquish, which is another shooter I really enjoyed with cool movement mechanics, and I used those inspirations to build my own tactical slide mechanic. Developing this was pretty fun and quite simple. All I needed to do was add a new state to my character blueprint in the engine, and with the help of the launch character node, I managed to build a really fast, powerful slide. It works something like this. Holding the shift key will launch the character forward along the ground, in the tactical slide fashion. The slide works similar to Vanquish's slide, but I haven't added any limits to it yet, so you can sort of just slide on forever. This movement mechanic felt a lot better with shooting than the wall riding did initially, because the slide mechanic was sort of a horizontally based movement system, whereas the wall ride was vertical, and I don't think a lot of people are used to vertical movement and shooting. What I came to find though, was that I found a way to bridge the wall ride and the slide mechanic in a way I didn't quite expect. While playing around with the slide mechanic, I thought to add some kind of boost jump to it when you hit the spacebar while sliding. It took a few minutes to add in, but once I did, it just felt really nice to play around with. Using this mechanic launches you higher than any regular jump would. I think this works especially well if you want to run on a really high up wall, but don't want to spend the time to get there. You can simply slide and jump, and it'll launch you high into the air, and then you can attach onto a wall and keep running. Another accidental mechanic I came across was that because of the way the slide works, it actually does push you downwards into the ground. And the reason I chose to do this was because I wanted to keep the player on the ground while sliding, so that when you came to a steep ramp, for example, you wouldn't go flying off into space, much like going down stairs in Oblivion. However, because sliding always did this, regardless of whether you were in the air or not, you can actually slide while airborne, and it'll send the character plummeting downwards and make a satisfying impact with the ground. I think this would make for a really cool mid-air stomp ability for later on, so I thought to leave that in. I think it also adds a really nice extra dimension of vertical control. It made me feel a lot more acrobatic while playing. If you want to test it yourself, I have a new link in the description, linked to the current build, with all these features in full force. Feel free to play around with it and leave your thoughts in the comments. The next thing I'd like to bring up in this episode is the full revamp of the weapon system. In the previous build, I couldn't help but feel that the shooting mechanic felt underdeveloped. And I think a lot of us felt that the auto-fire behavior of the weapon didn't quite fit well with the wall ride. I thought that a short-range, high-impact, high-damage weapon like a shotgun would be a perfect fit for this game. However, I didn't want to just build a shotgun. I wanted to build a system to allow me to create any weapon I wanted. This may have seemed like an ambitious task, but I knew it was possible. In a previous episode, I explained the concept of inheritance in code, and from my understanding of it, it meant that I could create a weapon class, and then child classes of that weapon attuned for different settings. For example, all weapons do the same thing. They all shoot, they all use ammunition, and the ammunition is finite. Some extra polished things that they all have in common is that they should all have sound effects when they shoot, they should all have a reload animation of some kind, and they should all have an appearance, so the weapon should have some kind of model. So one thing I wanted to set out to do for this build was to build that system. The system needed to be flexible, allowing for different types of firing, damage amounts, ranges, ammo capacities, reload speeds, models, sound effects, a lot of different variables. The advantage of creating a weapon system in this manner is that it allows me to use this as a base for every single weapon in the game. So this means weapons that can both be used by players and perhaps by AI characters later on. And it would simply take a few changing of numbers to turn it from a fully automatic assault rifle to a shotgun or even to a bow and arrow. It did take some time to build, and that was probably one of the core reasons why this particular episode took a lot longer to make than the previous episodes, but I managed to get the system working and it is in full effect in the current build. Using this weapon system, I managed to create two weapons for the player, a shotgun weapon and a pistol. The shotgun is a bolt-action weapon. It has no magazines, so the rounds need to be reloaded manually like a real shotgun. It does a large amount of damage over a wide radius at short ranges. The pistol is semi-automatic, it holds 8 rounds in its magazine, and the magazine can be exchanged quickly in a single button press. It does a moderate amount of damage over short to medium ranges and can be fired more rapidly than the shotgun. The weapons can be aimed more steadily by holding the right mouse button or by clicking the right analog stick on a controller. So these two weapons are both in full effect in the current build. I really hope you guys enjoy these weapons with the new movement mechanics in place. The next thing I'd like to talk about is a new segment I'd like to introduce to this series. I'd like to take some time during each episode to reflect on how the development went from the last episode. And as most of you know, it was a bit of a gap between last episode and this episode. And I want to talk about why that might have been and what I could do better next time. A lot of professional game development teams do this same method. For those familiar with the agile workflow, these are usually referred to as sprint reviews or scrum meetings or stand-up meetings. Seeing as I'm a solo developer not working in a team at the moment, I thought to do these reviews as part of the devlog to share with you guys on how I think the development went. The first thing I want to bring up is stuff I think went well and stuff I'm happy with. I think the slide and jump mechanic felt really satisfying for me, and I really enjoyed developing it. I think it was a really fun way to traverse around the map. Additionally, the mid-air dive and slide felt really nice to me as well, so I was really happy with how those turned out, and I hope you guys enjoy them too. However, I think I could do a few things better for next time. As I mentioned, this did take a while to make, and that was mostly due to this weapon system. I think I spent a lot of time trying to perfect this system. I think it's good to want to create a quality, robust system, but at the same time it can cost, especially in time. So the one thing I want to be more cautious of is, if I am to develop a system, or any new system later, I think I should just focus on the specific case scenario it needs to be built for. So if I was to do this weapon system again, maybe I'd focus just on doing the shotgun, and then worrying about contextualizing it to other weapons later in development. But overall, I am happy with how the system turned out. I think perhaps a good way to put it is that sometimes you need to just finish things rather than make them perfect. So with that said, I'm really happy with how these mechanics turned out, and I hope you guys enjoy them. If you want to test them out yourself, I have a link in the description of this video with the new build of the game. As always, don't be shy to leave your thoughts and feelings in the comments below. I really appreciate those that took the time to leave feedback on the last episode, and I want to encourage that more. I think it's really healthy to have. I think it's a lot better than just trying to aim in the dark and trying to make a game, making decisions just randomly. I think having that feedback and support is helping me immensely, more than you could imagine, to build something I love. So for the newcomers to the channel, thanks for sticking around. I hope you enjoyed the episode, and I hope you enjoy the new build. If you want to see more frequent updates on the game, I will be posting little screenshots and work in progress on my Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter pages. And if you want to see more content like this on YouTube, be sure to subscribe to the channel. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next episode.